It's the Over-Under Montreal Canadiens edition. Eric, it's great to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I think we got to make some betting here. I say if I get the most right, we're going to Junie on you in Montreal, great restaurant. And if you get the most of them right, well, I'll pay for dinner.
Either way, we're getting a good meal out of it. You're on, so let's get right to it here. Topic number one, rookie Alexander Romanov will average 15 minutes of ice time per game in his rookie season. Over or under, Eric?
Well, I'm going over. I'll tell you this. I go back a number of years. I remember asking Michel Therrien, who was coaching the Canadiens, how much you need to play a rookie in order to make it worth it to keep them around instead of sending them back to the minors or junior. Obviously not an option with Romanov, but his answer was 12. The average third-pairing defenseman in the NHL at 5-on-5 plays 12 minutes, 15 seconds. So it's a big leap for Romanov to play over 15, but the way the Montreal Canadiens are talking about him, I think he'll get there no problem, especially as a key component of the penalty kill.
I'm with you. It's one thing for the media to hype up Alexander Romanov or any type of prospect coming into the league. It's another thing for the team to do a bit of it, whether it's management, the coaching staff, players. They have not been shy to talk about the potential Alexander Romanov has in becoming a star in the NHL. And you even mused about it in your latest column. There's the potential, I guess, for him to start the year alongside Shea Weber. It's not out of the realm of possibility. With all those factors considered, I too am taking the over. Next, Tyler Toffoli, one of the new additions that Marc Bergevin made in the offseason. He will score 19 goals this season. I'm taking slightly over because he had 24 in less than 82 games last year. I know he's only broken 30 once in his career, but given the fact that he's proven he can produce right away in a new environment like he did with the Canucks when coming over there at the trade deadline last year, and the fact he's going to be given the opportunity to play with some pretty darn good passers in Jonathan Drouin, Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, maybe even, and some power play time as well, I think he'll be just over that 19 mark over 56 games.
Yeah, and sorry to burst the bubble for Canadiens fans, but I'm going just under. You mentioned 24 goals that he scored, and I think it was in 68 games. But in the first 58, he only had 18, and that's the number that I could see him scoring in 56 this season, especially because the offense is going to be spread out on this Canadiens team. It's not a one-line dominant team. You have three lines that could score, a fourth that could chip in as well. And depending on how the lines are playing on any given night, any one of them could be playing the lion's share of the minutes. So given those factors and given the adjustability factor for Tyler Toffoli playing with a new team in Montreal and playing in the East Coast, I think 18 is the right number, which puts him just under 19.
On that note, the Habs' leading scorer this year will average a point per game. Will he?
Well, that is a great question because you look at Thomas Tatar last year, he was the closest one to doing it. I think he had 61 points in 68 games, something of that nature. Pretty close without looking at it right now. But look, I like the idea of someone being able to put up 56 points in 56 games this year. I think the player with the best opportunity to do it would be Nick Suzuki. I just think he's going to come in confident based on what we saw from him in the bubble. And I think the extended layoff between the training camp back in May to the bubble in August, the summer hockey, gave him some extra time to beef up and rest up. And I think the extra time he's had between then and the coming season is going to help him eliminate the possibility of a sophomore jinx/slump. So I just think Nick Suzuki is a quiet, shy kind of kid, but there's a burning confidence about him that people don't know about. He's a really confident player, and his ability is excellent. So I think he could be capable of being a point per game player and potentially do it as a sophomore in this league.
Yeah, I'm with you. I too am taking the under. You look at their depth chart now, they are deeper than they've been in a number of years. And with that comes balanced scoring, which is something that Claude Julien has certainly loved to try to build his teams around in the style that he likes to play them in terms of their usage. So with that and the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, nobody on the roster has ever averaged a point per game before in their careers in the NHL, I too am going under in the Habs' leading scorer this season. Their power play has been a hot button issue in that market for years, Eric. You know all about it. The one constant has been Kirk Muller in charge of it. He still remains on the coaching staff. We're setting the over-under at 21% this year. They were just over 17 last year. Where are you thinking they're going to finish this season?
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to say over. And 21, we picked that as the number because the 10th best power play in the league last year, historically high numbers on the power play throughout the league, was 21.3. the Canadiens, it's a big jump to make. And I was shocked that they were even at 17% last year, considering how bad it looked for a large portion of the season. But I like the additions that have been made, specifically in the bumper role where Tyler Toffoli is going to play. He's going to detract a lot of attention from there because A, he can make plays, and B, he's a natural shooter. And the Canadiens haven't had that type of option controlling the puck in that area. They also haven't had a player like Jesperi Kotkaniemi having the confidence that he has to play the half wall and where he'll be this season, be it on the first or second unit. Nick Suzuki is going to take a much bigger bite out of that role that he had last year on the power play. I think he's going to be played significantly more, and he's going to be more adept at playing in that role, more comfortable. I think that all helps, but the biggest reason why I think it helps is because it's going to free up the options where the Canadiens have their biggest threats, Jeff Petrie and Shea Weber on the points. The other teams have focused in on them. Now they're not going to be able to quite as much. And I like Jonathan Drouin for the zone entries because of the fact that he missed 3.5 months last season, and now he's coming back healthy and certainly off a good note coming out of the bubble. So I think the Canadiens' power play is going up to the top 10 in the NHL this year, and I think I'm probably out on a limb suggesting that, but I think it'll be right.
All right, I'm going under. Now, I will say I think they are going to be much better than the 12.4% they were at home last season, but I don't think it'll be enough to get them over 21%. I just think it's going to continue to be a storyline in the market as it's been for a long time now. There's going to be some improvements. I like the additions they made, certainly up front. But I think this is a team that over the course of 56 games still won't be able to find things consistently enough to be a team that operates at over 21% on the man advantage. All right, as we wrap things up here, Eric, we're going to switch gears and go a little bit of rapid fire. You ready? Okay, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he's going to average 13.54 ice time this season, which is what he did in the bubble. I say he goes over. He's a more confident player now, looked completely different in the playoffs than he did in his sophomore regular season.
I say he goes over too, and he's going to get to play with, more frequently with better players, which is only going to help his case.
Josh Anderson, 15 goals this season. Does he get there?
I'm going to say right on par. Forget about over under. I think 15 is the number. Had 1 goal last year in an injury-riddled year. Had 27 the year before that. Right in between on a shortened season and a new market. I think there's going to be some excitement there, but I think he's going to be right on par.
I think he's going to be just under. I can see him getting off to a slow start as he adjusts to his new surroundings. And the fact that it's only 56 games here likely this season, he's going to run out a racetrack to hit that number 15. Marc Bergevin will make 3 trades during the regular season. I think it's way under that. I'd be surprised if it's even 1. He's done the majority of his signings and trades in the offseason, doesn't have the cap flexibility anymore. And look at the world that we live in right now, Eric. I just don't think it makes as much sense or as viable of an option to make deals now than it was 12 months ago.
Oh, I'm totally with you. It's certainly not viable, especially if you have to deal with the American teams. You're looking at a 14-day quarantine to integrate a player into a practice, never mind a game. So that puts the squeeze on. And if you're trading within the division, you pay a premium. And the Canadian teams are now in a division, assuming they're in a division against each other. It's going to make it that much harder to make a trade. That said, Marc Bergevin is known as like the most active GM on the market, especially leading to the trade deadline. But I still think it's less than 3.
Lastly, Carey Price will get 34 starts this season, which represents about 60% of the share. I say over, no question. He reminded everybody last summer that he is Carey Price after all, and even with the addition of Jack Allen to solidify the backup position, Carey Price, depending on how the schedule shakes out, that's a big variable, I think, as we have this conversation, Eric, but I think he's still over 60%.
Oh yeah, easiest question to answer on the docket here. He's going over, and yes, Jake Allen was brought in to minimize the amount of time and the amount they have to depend on Carey Price. But Carey Price is the money goaltender for the Canadiens, and he's going to play more than 60% of the games.
I'm not a betting man, but today I played one on TV, or the internet anyways. Eric, this was fun, man. This will be a lot of exciting times to watch play out throughout the year. Thanks for doing this with me.
Looking forward to that dinner.